The dragon's prow bites into the wet sand with a dull thud that vibrates through the soles of your leather boots. You don't wait for the command. You leap over the gunwale, the freezing North Sea water hitting your waist like 1,000 needles, but the adrenaline flowing through your veins is a furnace. In your right hand, you grip the hilt of your Ulfbert sword, the cruciform guard cold and reassuring, its high-carbon steel forged in the heat of a distant crucible to a purity the men on this shore cannot even imagine. To your left, your brother-in-arms slams his round shield against yours, the linden wood groaning, the iron rim biting into your shoulder. This is June 8th, 793 AD. The island of Lindisfarne lies before you, an unprotected treasure chest of gold and soft flesh. You are not here to trade. You are here to go into Viking. You look up the sloping beach toward the stone walls of the monastery. The sky is a bruised purple, and the air smells of salt, wet wool, and the faint, sweet scent of incense drifting from the church. You hear the first scream. It's thin, high-pitched, and cut short by the wet thud. The monks don't have weapons. They have wooden crosses and parchment. You have a 60-centimeter blade of near-modern purity and a hunger for silver that has been brewing all winter in the fjords. You move. Your feet churn the sand. You aren't just a man anymore. You are a force of nature, a consequence of land scarcity and the cold, hard math of primogeniture. Your older brother got the farm. You got the sea and the steel. The monastery doors splinter under the weight of 3 men. You burst into the cloisters. The silence of the holy place is shattered. You see a scholar, Alcuin's people, you'll later learn, clutching a book to his chest as if the ink could shield him from the edge of your blade. You don't hesitate. A quick horizontal slash opens his throat. You don't feel guilt. You feel the weight of the silver you're about to claim. This is a soft target. These men have spent centuries accumulating wealth and 0 days learning how to defend it. You reach down and rip the gold-leafed binding off the book, stuffing the precious metal into your pouch and kicking the useless parchment aside. To the Northumbrians, this is a desecration. To you, it's a down payment on a piece of land back in Norway, where the soil actually grows grain. Years pass in a blur of salt and blood. You've seen the evolution of the longship, the Drakar's shallow draft of barely a meter, allowing you to slide into rivers as shallow as 3 feet. Catching Frankish village, you've stood on the deck as your fleet of 120 ships rode up the Seine in 845 AD. You remember the smell of Paris burning. You remember Ragnar, or Regenherus, as some call the shadow of the man, standing on the prow, his eyes fixed on the city's heart. You remember the psychological warfare, the hanging of 111 Frankish prisoners on an island in the middle of the river, their bodies swaying in the wind to remind Charles the Bald that his walls were made of stone, but his men were made of meat. You walked away from that siege with your share of 7,000 pounds of silver. You felt the weight of it in your hands, the hack-silver pieces of jewelry and coins that you'd use to buy your way into the halls of the great. But the world is changing. By 865 AD, you aren't just hitting and running. You are part of the Great Heathen army. You are under the command of Ivar, the one they call the Boneless, a man who moves like a serpent but thinks like a god of war. You are in Northumbria again, but this time you aren't leaving. You are in the shield wall at York, your Skjoldborg, a wall of wood and iron that the Saxons can't break. You see them across the field, their eyes wide with terror at the sight of your tattoos and the black raven banners fluttering in the wind. You feel the sweat slicking your palms inside your leather gloves. To your right, a young man from the Danelaw is shaking. You growl at him, a low, guttural sound. If the wall breaks, you all die. If the wall holds, you own this kingdom. The command comes, move, 1 step, 2 steps. The rhythmic chanting of your names begins. Odin, Odin. The Saxons throw spears. You feel the impact in your teeth. 10 feet, 5 feet. The wall crashes. It's a riot of copper-tasting blood. You drive your shield boss into a Saxon's face, hearing the crunch of his nose, then follow with a You don't look back. You move to the next man. This is the missile here. This is the invasion that will rewrite the maps of the British Isles. You spend a decade as a settler, a lord of a small patch of English soil, but the sea calls again. In 911 AD, you find yourself on the coast of Francia, following a giant of a man named Rollo. You are tired of the constant fighting, and King Charles the Simple is tired of his cities being burned. You stand in the mud at Saint-Clair-sur-Epte. The treaty is signed. In exchange for the territory of Normandy, you agree to protect the Frankish king against other raiders. You agree to be baptized. You feel the priest's cold water on your forehead and wonder if the All-Father is watching with a smirk. You are a Norseman, but your sons will speak the language of the Franks. They will be Normans. They will be the new masters of the world. Decades crawl by. Your hair is the color of the winter sea, and your scars are a map of your life. You've seen the rise of Knut the Great, a man who ruled a North Sea empire that stretched from England to Denmark. You've seen the Danegeld grow, 150,000 pounds of silver flowing from the pockets of the English into your coffers just to keep your axes away from their necks. But the age of the raider is dying. The kings are getting stronger. The fragmented kingdoms of the past are becoming nation-states with standing armies and stone castles. It is September 1016. You are deep in the woods of Norway, an old man living on the edge of a village. You were declared Skugarmada, an outlaw. You killed a man over a land dispute, and now you are a forest man. You spend your nights with your back to a tree, your Dane axe across your lap. The irony isn't lost on you. You spent your life hunting others, and now you are the prey. The Lord. Then comes the call. One last expedition. The king of Norway, Harold Hardrada, is gathering the banners. They call him the last Viking. He is a man who served the empress in Byzantium, who fought in the Russian forests, who carries the shadow of the old ways in a world that is becoming Christian and soft. You don't have a choice. You can't die in a bed like a sick cow. Cowards, you want the September 25th, 1066. The Battle of Stamford Bridge. The sun is hot, unusually hot for the north of England. You are unarmored. Your mail shirts left back at the ships because you thought the English were miles away. You were wrong. King Harold Godwinson moved faster than any Saxon in history. You stand on the muddy banks of the Derwent River. The heat is stifling. Your throat is parched. Through the shimmering air, you see the Saxon army. Thousands of them, their spears a forest of steel. Your hand trembles, not with fear, but with age and the weight of the Dane axe. You look at the man next to you. He's barely 20, his eyes wide, his knuckles white on his spear shaft. You recognize the look. It's the same look you had at Lindisfarne nearly 300 years ago. The cycle is closing. The era of the Viking is ending here, in the mud of a foreign field. The Saxons charge. The sound is like a mountain collapsing. You plant your feet. You swing the heavy axe in a great arc, the two-handed haft vibrating as the blade shears through a Saxon shield and the arm behind it. You are a whirlwind of wood and iron. For a moment, it feels like the old days. The blood heat, the roar in your ear. You see Hardrada fall, an arrow in his throat. The king is dead. You are pushed back toward the bridge. One of your brothers, a giant of a man, stands alone on the timbers, holding back. He buys you seconds. He buys you a moment of breath. But then a Saxon in a tugboat floats under the bridge and thrusts a spear through the gaps in the wood, upward into the giant's groin. He falls. The bridge is lost. The rout begins. You find yourself pinned against a tree, the same way you slept in the forest. 3 Saxons circle you. They are professional soldiers, their armor gleaming, their faces set with a grim, righteous fury. You look down at your Ulfbert sword. It's chipped, its edge is dull from hitting bone and mail. You realize that your time has passed. The world of the Viking was a world of gaps. Gaps in defense, gaps in leadership, gaps in the map. Those gaps are being stitched shut. The first Saxon lunges. You parry, but your reflexes are slow. The second man's spear point grazes your ribs. You feel the warm flow of blood down you. You have 2 choices. You can drop your sword and beg for mercy, hoping to be sold as a thrall, a slave in the very markets you helped build in Dublin. Or you can grip your steel, spit on the ground, and go out with a roar that echoes from here to Valhalla. The spear comes again. You don't move out of the way. You lean into it. You feel the iron head slide between your ribs, puncturing your lung. The pain is a white-hot flash that burns away the cold of the river. You lunge forward, driving your sword into the Saxon's chest with the last of your strength. You fall together. The mud is warm. The sky above you is the same bruised purple as the sky over Lindisfarne so many centuries ago. You hear the sound of the wind in the trees. It sounds like the flapping of 1,000 black wings. Your vision is fading at the edges. You think of the silver you left behind, the land you fought for, the sons who will now become Normans or Englishmen or kings. You did not just raid, you changed the world. You gave the English language its words for sky and knife. You gave the map its cities. You are the shadow in the lineage of every king in Europe. As the darkness closes in, you feel a hand on your shoulder. It's not a Saxon hand, it's cold and light. You close your eyes, the world moves on. In a few weeks, William the Conqueror, the descendant of your brother Rollo, will land at Hastings and finish what you started. The Viking Age is over. The Norman Age has begun. What would you have done? Would you have taken the silver and fled to the fjords? Or would you have stood your ground in the shield wall for a drop your answer in the comments? Subscribe for more POV scenarios.